What's up, guys? It's your boys Awoki back with another Chris Watts and Nicole Kessinger. This one's kind of about a little bit about Shanann as well, but we're gonna be looking into Chris Watts having a lot of activity before the murders, before the murders and the 111-minute phone call that they had with he had with NK, and then after the murders. Because you know what's funny is your phone and your watch, even if you don't know it, are tracking your steps, and where you're at on Google, and where what temperature it is and so forth like that. It's kind of a little cool, but it's also kind of scary. But you might not know that your phone is actually tracking this stuff when you purchase it, and you actually have to turn it off. So Chris actually didn't turn his off, and we're gonna be looking into Shanann's watch and her fitness tracker, Chris Watts' tracker, because he knew about it and then he didn't know about it. He had an app that was tracking his calorie intake and all that stuff because he was trying to be fit and so forth like that, but he didn't realize that also it was tracking his steps. So we are going to look at all this stuff when it comes to before and after this 111-minute phone call, and pretty much around the time the murders happened. We are going to be watching Zav Girl. If you guys have not watched her before, definitely go over to her channel, give her some love, subscribe, comment, like, share. I know she has done some, I'm not going to get into it. People have mentioned to me on my messages and so forth like that, which I understand and definitely is not great. But again, I'm looking for the information that will bring this case possibly to be opened again. So I want to make sure that everybody knows it's not that I'm okay with it. I just want to look into this evidence that Zav Girl has found. Again, I don't care about what happened and who's mad at who. I just want to find the answers for the Chris Watts case. So with that being said, before we go any further, like I said, over on her channel, subscribe, comment, like, and share. Watch your old stuff, watch your new stuff. You guys know the deal. Also, why did my light go off? There we go. Make sure you guys subscribe to my channel by hitting that white bar icon down the bottom right. Hit the bell icon next to it, so when I do post videos like this one, you guys will get that little ring notification that I've posted that video, and then you guys can watch, comment, like, and share. And again, thank you guys so very much for this love and support that you guys are showing on this channel. Hopefully one day we can get to that 100K, but I need your guys' help. With that being said, let's get into the video.
From Chris's phone. Actually, they're from Chris's cell phone and his work phone and his personal phone. He has two separate apps, like two separate looks like two separate accounts or whatever that are recording two separate.
And look at it. It tells you the time from August 12th, 10 p.m. to August 13th, 10 p.m. But what about after 10 p.m.? Can we see that? Because you can see right here, it shows all the different. So it looks like we got 500 steps, 1,000 steps, 1,500 steps. Man, at, what is that, 3 in the afternoon to 6? He's a busy boy.
Information. So when he has his work phone on him, it's recording, it's keeping track of everything on his work phone.
Mine does.
And then when he has a cell phone, it's keeping track, and it's doing it like two separate ones. Okay. So, and it's not from his Apple Watch. It looks like he didn't actually have the Apple Watch on at that time. So it's just from his phones that he has on him. It keeps track. So that health app gathers health data from your iPhone. So it highlights 4 categories: activity, sleep, mindfulness, and nutrition. Okay. So the health automatically counts your steps.
I like to know about the sleep. Like when he stopped using his phone, and then when he started picking his phone up, that can narrow things down. When he actually woke up, when he actually went to bed, did he wake up when Shanann came home? Did he not wake up when Shanann, like, that would be interesting to look at as well.
Walking and running distances, and that's what we're going to go over, is the steps and the walking and running distances. Okay, so I want to go over it from the night before, and then the morning, and then the day. So okay, so the first graph we're going to look at here.
Okay, okay, I'm just trying to know this. So day, week, month, year. So August 12th from 10 o'clock that night, which would have been Sunday, So what would he have been doing at 3 to 6 again? I'm trying to. Would that been the birthday party that they went to? I do believe.
Here is the first of all, if anybody wants to check it out in the Discovery, it starts on page 1763. Okay, so if you see, it says it's from August 12th at 10 p.m. to August 13th at 10 p.m. This specific graph.
Which Shanann was not home yet, but he was out or talking with Shanann or talking with Nicole. This is not Saturday. This is Sunday to Monday.
We're looking at right here. Okay, so if you see on Chris's personal phone, he had a lot of steps between 11 and 12. Okay, at p.m. the night before. Okay, so it looks like he had around 350 steps, because if you see right there, that's at 500. So if you look, it looks like it's about 350 steps from 11 to 12 that night before. Okay, and if you look at Shanann and his text, that's about the time. Well, look, he tells Shanann that he was sleeping at when she tries to text him. Here, I'll show you. Okay, so this is a data from Shanann's phone here. So you see at 21:29, which is 9:29.
Yep.
Shanann made an unanswered call to Watts. Okay,
Of course,
and we know at 9:28 is when he started talking to NK. And here you go.
There's you sneaky dog, you, or you thought you were sneaky. So he was actually having that phone call.
Phone records. At 9:28, he had a 111-minute conversation with NK. Okay, so he just starts talking to her, and Shanann tries to call, and he doesn't answer. At 9:44, she texts him, tried calling you to give you an update. It was starting to board, and they announced that our crew isn't here yet, and yet it's going to be a minimum of an hour before they are here. Okay, so he still doesn't respond. Okay, so if you do the math, 111 minutes from 9:28 takes you to 11:19 p.m. Okay?
Okay.
So
loser goes, sorry, holy crap, sorry, I passed out on the couch. That's going to be like...
He talks to her to 11:19 p.m. He talks to NK, and then he gets off. And what does he do when he gets off? He texts Shanann. 11:21 is when her text, went through. So he gets off with NK at 11:19, goes and texts Shanann. Holy crap, sorry, I passed out on the couch. That's going to be late. When right there, we know he wasn't passed out on the couch. He was talking to NK the whole time, okay? Okay, so let's go back to the graphs here. So
I was off. So August 12th was Sunday, but that was into the next morning, which the 13th was the night or the morning of the murders. Okay, so I'm just trying to figure this out. So when this is showing this graph, this is where he was between 3 and 6. That's where he was walking all the way around the house with the officers and talking and so forth like that. So that's what that meant. Okay.
So it doesn't actually show like what time the steps actually started, but you see there's 350 steps between 11 and 12. Okay, so either he was walking around a bunch towards the end of his conversation with NK, or I'm guessing, see, his conversation ended at 11:19 with NK, and then he texts Shanann real quick. So I'm guessing that's when the steps started, the 350. I don't know what he was doing,
So 12 a.m. on the 13th. So this is walking, running, balance, and then steps. Walking plus running, balance. And then this is steps. Okay.
To do 350 steps when supposedly, he was just sleeping on the couch, which we know he wasn't, but the Shanann, he was sleeping on the couch, but he was talking to NK, right, for, almost 2 hours, and then he gets off, and it's, late at night, almost midnight, and he is taking 350 steps right after the phone call. I mean, what is he doing in that hour?
I can tell you right now, me going from where I'm at right now to my bathroom is like 20 steps. And that's like not even 20 feet. Trying to.
And then let's go to the walking and running distance. Now, this will take you before the phone call, okay? So we know he made that phone call at 9:28, okay? Yep. Okay, so we see between 8 and 9 and 9 to 10, in those hours, he has kind of a spike in the walking and running distance. So,
which I bet he's not putting the girls to bed, because he said the girls were in bed by 7:30. So what was he doing right before 9 o'clock? Was he working out or doing something else? Prepping for Shanann's return.
That makes you wonder, what was he doing in that time period too? Now he calls NK at 9:28, right? So before he calls her, from 8 to 9, he's doing some walking or running, right? And then either during the call or right before the call, because it doesn't show you like when it started, it just shows you in that hour, right? So either he was doing a lot of walking and running right before he called her, and then calls her at 9:28, and all that was done before, or he was doing something when he first called her for like a half hour. He was walking and running and must have been exercising when he's talking to her. I don't know. And then
But she said when they were talking, she could hear the TV and he was in bed.
Takes a little break. And then remember, between 11 and 12, he had almost about 350 steps. And you see the walking and running distance right there, goes along with the steps you could see. So right when he calls her, he's exercising, and he takes a break, and then he starts doing something where he's doing a lot of activity towards the end of his phone call.
But he was doing quite a bit between 3 and 5 here for steps. This would have been the morning of the murders. So we got 12, 3, 5, 9. Wait, no, that's 3, 6, 9. 3, 6, 9. Okay, so 6. So between 4 and 5. So we got 500. Ooh, I'm going to have to look more into this as well. So we can narrow this down, because she came home at 1 to 2 o'clock, which was right here. And then we have, interesting, okay.
It could be that, or maybe he did it right before, and it just shows because he called her at 9:28. I hope you guys are following.
So, yeah, I'm following. So right here, the 12 a.m. shows that he never got up when it was with Shanann, unless he didn't touch his phone. So he must have been never touched. So when he got done talking to her, NK, at 9 o'clock, whatever, he got up, talking around. Okay. My brain is spinning here. Okay, I'm not getting excited. I'm getting excited, but I'm not getting excited. And the only reason why I'm getting excited, because this is like really narrowing it down to show that, okay, so we got 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ooh. Okay.
On me here. Okay, so he could have done it, between 8 and 9. It looks like he got some distance and some activity, and then maybe 9 to 9:28, right before he called her, is when he got all of that.
So it shows that in 1 to 2 on here, over here on the left panel, that he was running or walking fast. So a 20th of a mile is what he was doing that morning of the murders. But then if you look at like 6, 7, 8 and 9, so he must have been driving or whatever have you. I'm going to make a whole separate video on this, man.
That activity in, and it just shows, that hour,
what he could
right?
be doing.
And then he calls her. And then when he gets off at, 11:19, is maybe when all those steps and activity is from the 11 to 12. Just in like, the last half hour, and then the first half hour from 9 to 10 is when maybe that activity went on. And maybe actually when he was talking to her, he wasn't doing that. There was no activity. I'm not sure. Or was he doing a bunch of activity, that whole time? I don't know. I don't know, since it doesn't tell you the actual minute that he started, just between the
Which
it shows from 8 to 9, he had, a little spike in the walking and running. And then from 9 to 10, he also had, a good amount. And then from 10 to 11, where we know he was talking to NK at that time, he doesn't have very much activity. And then from 11 to 12, he has the, almost 350 steps, and then the walking and running distances, he has some activity there. So I'm not sure, what was he doing at that time period,
I have no idea.
Right before he calls NK, has a lot of activity. And then what I'm guessing is that then when he called her, he just, didn't just sat down or didn't do much, and that was just, it calculated the whole hour of the distance, but it was only like that half hour is where he had all of that activity, the first half hour and the last 40 minutes of.
But this one where we know right here, this is where he was walking, because he was walking around with the police officers and so forth like that. So
the 11 to 12. Are you guys following me there?
I am.
And maybe when he was talking to her, he was just wasn't doing all the activity. But what was he doing basically right before he was talking to her and then right after? That was late, especially after. He gets off the phone with her, he texts Shanann, lies and says he's sleeping, and then he has all these steps. So, 350 steps between 11 and 12. Like, what
was he doing?
What is he doing? It does make you
preparing?
Wonder if he was doing something before Shanann got home or doing something to prepare.
But then look at 4 a.m. Look what he's doing at 4 a.m.
Prepare before Shanann got home. I'm not sure. Let me know what you guys think. And if you guys think...
Or 3 and 4 and 5
the activity between 9 and 10, it probably was all before 9:28, probably before he called her.
So this shows that she got into bed. They probably slept for a few hours. And then at 4 o'clock, he probably gets up, starts mingling, whatever have you. And then Shanann probably gets up as well. I want to see Shanann's. Can we see Shanann's? Compare hers to his.
And he just, you know what I'm saying? All that activity was the half hour before. And then the 11 to 12, he gets off at 11:19 off the phone with her. So then that's when all those 350 steps probably were after he got off the phone with her, is what I'm guessing. But still, like, what is he doing, And then real quick, I just want to point out, for some reason, I don't know why, but they don't have the steps for that night before. Now remember, these are both his cell phone, but they don't have the steps from the night before. Like they have the walking and running distance, but you could see the 11 to 12, they have. And if you calculate, that's about 350 steps. But the, 8 to 9 and 9 to 10, where it shows the walking and running, it doesn't go back that far on the steps. But if there was about 350 steps, so if you kind of use that for a comparison, you'll see that actually the one between 8 and 9 is a little bit higher than the one.
It is. I wonder how much an average person does during a day.
If you see the walking and running, the one between 8 and 9 is a little higher than the one.
But then you look at, how, okay, so we got 6 down here, 7, 8, 9. So did he not have his phone on him when he went out to survey? Because this shows that he didn't walk at all. So maybe the phone was in, but he was on his phone though, texting his other coworkers. So it had to have been on him, unless the hole was dug the night before or the day before.
From 11 to 12. So, and we know the 11 to 12 steps was like about 350. So the one from 8 and 9 is probably going to be a little bit more than 350, not much, just a little bit more than 350 steps between 8 and 9. And then 9 to 10, it looks like, I mean, it's not that much lower, but so what? Maybe a little under 3.
I feel like I need to get Chris Watts's GPS too, and then compare that to this. And then if we can somehow get Shanann's steps and so forth like that, compare that with that.
300 steps, you know? So if we use, you know, that.
Oh, we got some more graphs coming.
11 to 12 steps as kind of a comparison. So still a lot of steps to be taken, you know, around that time if you're not, you know, working out, which maybe he was, I don't know, but it's kind of, I don't think.
He said he didn't work out on Sunday and Saturday, so.
He'd be working out from 11 to 12 right after he gets off the phone with her, because he, you know, was he working out for like 3 hours straight, you know, from.
Nope, he said he didn't work out.
8 to 9, 9 to 10, and then 11 to 12. It's probably not that likely, but I mean, who knows? But I mean, he just had a lot of activity, so you know, around, you know, maybe a little over 350 steps between 8 and 9, and between 9 and 10, it looks like it probably would, you know, equal out to, you know, a little under 300 steps.
Well, this right here between the 12 and 9 p.m., this is between the times that he was talking to police and at the actual house. Now, this part between the 4, well, this is 5, this is 4. He was doing some significant movement, almost 1,000. Well, no, almost 1,000 steps that morning. So I wonder what the average person takes in a day. Okay, so I got this. The average number of steps of a man takes per day is around 5,340, which is slightly more than the average steps taken by a woman, which is 4,912. However, the number of steps obviously takes in consideration, depending on if a person is including age, job, health goals, and so forth like that. So he's average steps per day is a reasonable goal for me. Most goals are 10,000, 3,000 in a morning of a man, and then almost 4,000 or 3,000 or 2,900 for a female. Okay, so I'm just looking at that.
Steps, and then from 11 to 12, we actually shows the steps, and that was around 350 steps too. So
what is up there?
I don't know. Let me know what you guys think about that. I'm going to bring up these other graphs now from. I'm going to compare. I'll show you here. Hold on. Okay, so here is the graphs.
Okay. Here we go with the personal phone and work phone. I need to look into seeing if Shanann had where Shanann's steps are and so forth.
From here on the left is his personal phone, and then on the right is his work phone.
So
okay, so we're gonna.
Okay. So he had the personal phone in the morning before he left, but then when he went to the survey 319 area, look at this steps showing. Okay, so he did not. Trying to think here, because at 4, you see it turn on. 5, so he had both phones on him that morning. But then at 6, he was probably driving out there. But 7, 8 in the morning, he was at survey 319. And then he didn't have his work phone on him when he was talking to a police officer. I'm going to have to break this down even. I'm probably going to have to do a part 2 on this, guys.
Look at that, the morning. So basically, you know, Monday morning, early Monday morning. So you see up until 8 a.m., the steps are pretty much the same between the work phone and the personal phone. Okay. Well, so you see.
Not pretty much, because if you look over on his personal phone, between 6 and 9, no steps on his personal phone. But then when you look at the work phone, boom. So was he texting his employees obviously on his work phone? that would say why he, yeah, oh, I feel like I'm onto something, but I don't know. Can you guys help me out in the comments, please?
There's nothing up until 4 a.m. and that's when the steps start. So
Yep.
4 a.m. to 5 a.m. there's a few steps, and then 5 to 6 a.m. there's 481 steps. Okay, so I think that's the time he did a lot of the stuff. Well, that's the time we see him in in that video in the morning where he's taking all the stuff out to his car. Okay, so he leaves his house at 5:46 a.m. Okay, and then remember he gets to Survey at 6:53. So that's why you see from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. there's less than 100 steps. Because most of the time he's in the car, in the truck. He's in his truck going to Survey. Okay, so from 7 to 8 he has over 400 steps. So after he gets to Survey, he's got to dig the grave. He's got to, take each kid up to the tank. So, I mean.
Hold on. Can't you look at heartbeats? Can we see if his heart rate went up during this time? Like if he was working out or shoveling? Can we look at that?
That's a lot of steps for, an hour. So from 7 to 8, over 400 steps. So.
I feel like I got
and
a whole bunch of
then
things
from
going in my
8
mind
to
right
9, well, 7 to 8, okay, then that's when it looks like
he was done.
He actually. So first of all, I just want to point out the reason they kind of look so different is because on his personal phone they're in increments of 500. You can see on the graph, and on the work phone they go up by 200, as you can see. Okay, I just want to hurry up and point that out real quick. Okay, so around 8 o'clock, it looks like he must put his personal phone in the truck, is what I'm guessing. And then he still has his work phone. Because remember, 8 to 9 on his work phone, he has 800 steps. 800 steps from 8 to 9 on his work phone.
And he was texting.
But by that time, that's when all his coworkers are already there. So he's probably just doing his regular tasks of the day. And like I said, it looks like he has his personal phone in the truck because there's no steps between 8 and 9. No steps at all. But then 9 to 10.
And he had his personal phone inside the truck because why would he? Because him and NK for weeks were talking every single morning. So if he didn't have his personal phone on him because he was talking to NK, possibly there. I'm thinking out loud, but
10, it looks like somewhere in between that time he got his personal phone out of the truck for a little bit, or because there's a few steps, so I'm not sure. And then from 10 to 11 there's no steps again, so maybe he picked it up and made a call, or just picked it up for a few steps. But 9 to 10 on his work phone, he made 200 steps. Okay, so from 10 to 2 he has no steps or no movement on his work phone, right? And on his personal phone, he doesn't have any steps between 10 and 11, okay? Nothing.
So he must be talking to his people?
I guess it's safe to say between 10 and 11 is like he didn't have any of his phones on him. I'm not sure. I mean, why that would be. That by that time, I think he was probably at, Survey 1029 or at a different location.
Could have been, yeah.
Okay, so I just went and looked at the GPS from his truck. So he was at Survey 319 until 9:30 a.m. So
I feel like I need to put these graphs with his GPS and see if I can find NK's, or not NK, well, I wish we looked at NK, because NK said that she had a fitness tracker on her phone. So she's obviously counting steps, she's counting calories, she's counting heartbeats and so forth. Let's look at her phone with this stuff. I guarantee with that, the GPS, sorry, it would definitely paint a very big picture.
There's no movement, on his personal phone from 10 to 11 for some reason. So he would have already been at the other location. And then there's a few steps between 11 and 12. And then it kind of picks up between 12 and 1. There's some steps, like probably it looks like maybe like 350 or around there. And then from 1 to 2, there's barely any. And that's when he was.
Because what they should do is also take one of those rolling measurements or whatever, or even just one themselves, see how many steps it takes to go up the stairs, pretend like you're putting somebody in, come down the stairs, go to the truck where he parked, go back up the stairs, go over to where Shanann was, see how many steps it takes there, like reenact this to see how many steps it took and stuff like that.
He was driving home.
Because then we actually could figure out if you did this the morning of the murders or the night of the murders or the day before the murders. This could paint a very close picture about what we want.
He was driving home he left Survey at 1:01, and then he got to that dumpster, that construction site at like 2:01.
To throw away the
blankets.
So
he was there for 6 minutes, and then he gets to his house at 2:07. Okay, so that makes sense. There's barely any steps, on his personal phone between 1 and 2 because he was in the car. But for some reason on his work phone, as you can see, from 10 to 2, there's no steps at all. He must have put his phone in the truck. So it looks like he just must have left his work phone in the truck for like 4 hours, from like 10 to 2. Wow. Well, from 1 to 2, he was in the car. But then
at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, work truck. So from 9 to 6, 9 to 2. So he must have the truck.
So that makes sense. But so basically from 10 to 1, and then he leaves Survey at 1:01 and heads home. So, he stops off at that dumpster, that construction site first. Okay, yeah. So then it picks up back up at 2. So that's when he gets home, and you see him come home and
puts the
shake the officer's hand and go into the Lexus, go into the house. But anyway, so it picks up between 2 and 3 where he shows a few steps. So probably what happens is when he goes inside, he probably lays his work phone down somewhere, and then his personal phone, you could see
he had on
is active the rest of the evening. So he has it with him.
So that being said, guys, I feel like with Zavgirl doing this, showing this, I'm gonna go back to the directory and start looking through that and see if I can find Shanann's. But NK's would definitely help out. The GPS would help out. I'm gonna put this all together, hopefully for another video, for a part 2 of this one, to see if I can find more painted picture, as you will. With that being said, guys, comment your guys' thoughts down below in between these times that we see before us, between the personal phone, the work phone, his walking, his running, the steps. Let me know down in the comments. I need your guys' help on this because I feel like the tables are turning. I just can't add A to B to C to D because I am talking to you guys. With that being said, again, thank you guys for watching. Please take care. Be safe. As always, keep nerding on, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.